Wonderful. All right, we'll kick off. So this session is all about driving large-scale cultural change. I'm really excited to host this session to talk to two wonderful people that we've had the pleasure of working with for the past few months. So keep the session interactive, keep chatting away. Please do add some Q&A as well. We're trying our best to get through most of them at the end of the session. So my name is Matt. I have the pleasure of leading the charge here for Unmind in the US. I'm actually dialing in from Las Vegas today, where we are attending the HR Technology Conference, where we're talking about mental health as a part of the employee experience, which I think truly coincides with a lot of what today's Kaleidoscope Connect is about. But it is not about me today. It's about the Orlando Magic, Brenda and Grisella. So Grisella, would you like to introduce yourself and say hi to everyone who's watching? I don't know if it's just me. You might be on mute. Brenda, can you hear Grisella?
I cannot.
Brenda, how about Grisella, we'll give you a minute, and then Brenda, would you like to introduce yourself, and then Grisella will come back to you.
Sure, of course. My name's Brenda Hazlett. I'm the Vice President of People for the Orlando Magic NBA team here in Orlando, Florida. We also have a minor league hockey team from the ECHL called the Solar Bears, the Orlando Solar Bears. We also have a G League team, which is the Lakeland Magic, which is about an hour outside of Orlando. And lastly, we also have a gaming team, Magic Gaming, which is a league all of itself and operates on the NBA 2K gaming. And yes, they actually have players with contracts and they play in arenas, and it's a big business. So we actually have 4 teams. I've been with the Magic for just under 15 years, going into my 15th season here. We're very excited. Our first preseason game is October 10th. So we're gearing up for what should be an interesting season. Solar Bears hockey team also starts very soon. I think their first game is like on the 4th or the 5th. Yeah, we're very excited about the season and very excited to be with you all here today.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brenda. Sounds like it's about to get real busy for you. Grisella, how's the microphone going?
Can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
So my name is Grisella. I've been with the Orlando Magic since 2016. I've had a couple of different roles within the people department. My current role is the people specialist. In that role, I manage the wellness initiatives, employee-to-employee recognitions, employee engagements, and I'm the wellness champion for the Orlando Magic.
Wonderful. Thank you. Lovely to have you on today. And then, Brenda, across those 4 different teams in the entire organization, how many employees roughly were there?
Wow. So I would say for the Orlando Magic NBA team alone, it is somewhere between, I would say, 700 and 850 on any given day. We do have a large seasonal staff. So we ramp up during our season. And then on top of that, you add the Orlando Solar Bears and Lakeland. And that's probably, I'd say, another 50 or 60 employees. So quite a large staff.
Yeah, fantastic. And just to kind of set the scene for folks listening, the demographics or the kind of the role types that you have is very diverse, I imagine, right? All the way from ticket sales to arena staff to office-based staff as well. What does that look like roughly?
Yeah, so I used to get this question a lot, or this comment, I should say, a lot when I first started working for the Magic, and I always kind of have to chuckle. People wonder what we do in the off season, and there really is no off season. I mean, we are a corporation just like any other corporation, and we have, if you think about it, we have every facet, just like any regular corporation, everything from finance to marketing to sales to global partnerships to, of course, your people department. And then of course we do have some things that are more unique to the entertainment industry. So we have, like broadcast technology and services and broadcasting. We have PR, communication, social responsibility. I mean, it's just, the list goes on. And we are literally, 24/7. We are the busiest probably when we are playing basketball and hockey, but very literally, I mean, it's 365 days a year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, just like everybody else probably on this call. So just because we have a season doesn't, and the other thing that's a little bit unique for the Orlando Magic is while the city of Orlando owns and operates Amway Center, which is our arena where our teams play, we do kind of co-operate those premium areas, meaning that our part-time staff and our seasonal staff, they also serve every event that goes on in the building. So concerts, Disney on Ice. I mean, you think of anything that happens in an arena, we also still provide staffing and services for that, which is all year long. So in addition to our teams, we also do that.
So lots going on all year round. Fantastic. I think that sets the scene really nicely. So I appreciate that. And I guess that leads on to the first question in terms of what's been going on, right? So the pandemic impacted all sorts of organizations, but the way it impacted them was very different depending on a set of factors. And you just actually outlined a number of those factors that would have a different impact for you. So can you take us back 18 months and tell us what happened to the Magic when this all began?
Yeah, and I would encourage Grisella to also jump in here because, we all, like you said, we all kind of were in different places and in different perspectives. But I also think we all shared a lot of the same things too. So different yet the same, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I think it was March 15th, 14th, 15th, where we, when things really started here in the United States, at least, we started hearing more about COVID and like really just kind of learning how serious it was and what was going on. And I remember getting, our leader, Audra Romeo, the chief people officer, letting our team know that, hey, our CEO, Alex Martins, is going to be letting everyone know that we're going to be shutting the offices down. And we all we were told that we could all go into the office on that Monday. I think it was Monday, March 16th, and, grab your laptop, grab what you need to possibly, work remotely from home for the next few weeks. Right. And I think we all kind of were in the same place at that point in time. And so we did that. We all made a mad dash for the office and not knowing that that was going to be the last time we were ever probably going to be in that office. Last time we were going to see each other as a team for a very long time, which was very difficult. And then one thing led to the next. And I think as a people team, we began to realize that our shift very quickly, we needed to shift from what we normally do, which is, we take care of people, but we take care of them in terms of their compensation and are they engaged and performance and employee relations. And, we've always had wellness as part of our component of what we do. I mean, that's always, been but we had to shift our thinking into, first of all, our season shut down. So we stopped playing basketball abruptly. Mm-hmm. So we're not selling tickets. We had a sales staff and a service staff that was dealing with fans who said, okay, you're not going to finish playing your games. What are you going to do for us? We didn't know how long this was going to last. I think it became quickly apparent to the entire world that this wasn't just going to be a few weeks or even a few months. So we had to start thinking about, what was going on with our staff. We weren't passing them in the hall every day and seeing them getting a cup of coffee and saying, how are you doing? And so we had to think about, what can we do to engage them, to help them. We really weren't doing our normal jobs. Nobody was doing their normal jobs at that point in time. We weren't doing our normal jobs as a people team, and our staff certainly wasn't doing their normal job because we weren't in business at that point. So there was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of, you just don't know what the future held. So one of the things we did that was, I think, really impactful was as a people team, we divided up our entire staff, and we all called them. We all had one-on-one conversations with them. We called every single person, and either via phone or via video. Back then, we all weren't sick of video and sick of being on video. That was the very beginning of video. Now we all have Zoom fatigue, right? So who knew? But yeah, we had those one-on-one conversations, and those were very, very insightful. Those helped us kind of understand Grisella was not in the same place that I was. I don't have children. I'm married. My husband, his office shut down as well. He was furloughed for a while. Grisella is a single mother of two, which she'll tell you, a little bit about. She was in a very different place. Her children at home, she was trying to homeschool them, or not homeschool them, but school them from home, I should say. So, and our staff was in the same boat. We have our demographic, we have a lot of young people, like in their 20s and 30s, a lot of people just starting out in their careers, a lot of single people. So here they are shut in their, apartment, not going anywhere, isolated. Maybe they have roommates, maybe they don't have roommates. So there was a lot in the beginning. And so we had to begin to evaluate, based on the information we kind of gathered from that, what can we do and what should we be doing to help our staff through this and evaluate what they need. So Grisella, I don't know if you have anything to add, because I know you had a very different perspective than me.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was a different point in the spectrum. So we had the moms with the kids, virtual schools. We had the single at home, going a little isolated, crazy. And as within the people team, I was getting a lot of information from other companies, from our vendors, from our providers, with a lot of information to help our staff in different parts of the spectrum. So for the single moms, for the people feeling isolated. So I think that was our second approach, was to kind of start a wellness email to staff, which would encompass all that information that we were grabbing from all different places, to kind of help everyone wherever they're at in this craziness. Yeah,
I think it's funny, we do these discussions frequently, right, across the industry, and it's reliving it all again. Everyone who's listening to this will be having flashbacks to the various different events that they went through, right? And I think you described it really nicely about the spectrum that everyone's on. And you mentioned a couple of things there in terms of your initial reaction, and I love that you just picked up the phone and called each of the 700 to 850 people and talked them through it. And there's a sentence you made, I think it was, we moved from performance and engagement to just helping people get through it. It shows the breadth of kind of what you do as a people team. And I'm going to break the rules slightly, but there was one question that came in through the Q&A, and instead of saving it to the end, because I think it's relevant to now, Tom asked, who looks after your well-being? It's very easy for you to be the wellness champions in the well-being, but what did you do yourselves to look after yourselves? And you both describe very different scenarios at home as well.
That's a great question. And I think as HR and people professionals, it's something that I think we don't take as good of care of ourselves as we do our people. But I will say we are very fortunate to have an amazing leader in Audra Romeo, which I believe, Matt, you've met Audra and know immediately how amazing she is. So, and our leadership team in general. So our CEO, he immediately started sending out weekly emails they were so long. It was almost like it was hard to even read the whole thing, because it was just like he shared so much of himself and what he and his own family were going through, his wife and his 2 daughters. And I think it was a wonderful thing to kind of show that we're all in the same boat, so to speak. Different circumstances, but definitely all experiencing the same things. And as a leadership team, they knew and recognized immediately that we were doing, as a people team, that we were doing a lot, and that we were trying to help our managers also help their staff, because we're only 7 people. We couldn't do it all, right? So they immediately recognized that. But our leader, Audra, she immediately recognized, as I think we all did, that we needed support too. So we did a lot of the same things that I'm sure everybody else did. We started having just meetings, not even meetings, but we started getting together virtually. We didn't talk about work and business at all. We talked about what was going on in our lives and what we needed help with, and encouraged each other to use the tools that we were sharing with staff. We got a lot of support. Some of the support that Grisella is talking about came from the NBA. They provided us with a lot of tools as well. So I'm not going to say we did an awesome job of it, but we did recognize, and still recognize to this day, because it's not ended. If you are in HR or part of a people team, it's not over. I mean, now we're in the middle of all this, vaccination stuff, and here across the world, but especially here in the United States, we had the whole political climate that was going on. We had, all the social justice, stuff that was going on, and in addition to a pandemic. So that impacted all of us as well as our own team. And I think I know I did. I struggled just like everybody else. I had days and moments where I was just like, I'm not sure how much more I got in me, but we held each other up, and day at a time. So great question.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's a great answer, but we're doing the best we can, just like everybody else.
I appreciate the candid nature of the answer, and yeah, it was a great question. I think I'll try and move us away from the COVID and how we're kind of moving forward with that, but just on the spirit of driving large-scale cultural change, in describing what your CEO and how Audra as your CPO behave, without authentic leadership and creating that open and honest environment where you can talk about things like mental well-being and mental health, you cannot drive cultural change. So there's a reason you guys are on this panel today, is because from the top down at the Magic, there is a desire to drive cultural change and to support each other. So that's a wonderful example of that. So as a result of the past 12 to 18 months then, how are you now thinking differently about mental well-being and employee experience in general, as and we're in different challenges that we're faced now, but as you start to plan for the future, how are you thinking differently about it?
Well, I think it kind of happened organically, and now looking back on it, that I can maybe answer that. But when I was in it, and when we were all in it, I'm not sure that we recognized it as, definitively as we do right now. But I think one of the things that we recognized was some of the traditional tools, while great and definitely needed, such as EAP programs, and just one-on-one counseling, if we saw a particular issue with an individual, when we tried to reach out and help that person, we needed to think about what can we do proactively to help people deal with this on a day-to-day basis, and make it just part of our daily living. Like, we all get up in the morning and, go through our routine. We brush our teeth, we do our hair, we put our makeup on, we feed our children, we take our dogs out, we care about others, we try to care for ourselves, but what can we be doing that helps us emotionally? And that's kind of where Unmind came in for us. Was, you know, I can't even, to be honest with you, Matt, I think it was a random email that our executive assistant that works for Audra got, and she shared it with Audra and said, this looks really interesting. Maybe we ought to check into this. And then of course, Audra got me involved, and then Grisella involved. And we had many, many conversations with you all. And I think that was one of the things that really attracted us to Unmind, is you all were doing something very different than the traditional stuff. You were doing an approach from that. And this is one of the things that Grisella says, and I know I believe she got it from somewhere and someone at Unmind, and she and I love that she uses this a lot. But we all have mental health, and we have it every day, right? And you can't put it any more clearly than that. And I think that was one of the things that really attracted us to Unmind, and you all also helped us realize that that's what we needed to be doing. We needed to be looking at our mental wellness and emotional wellness, just like we look at the rest of our health. You know, if we get sick, we go to the doctor, you know, if we go to the dentist, we do these things to proactively, preventatively take care of ourselves. So why can't we do that with our emotional well-being? And so that's why, you know, we engaged with you, and we started going down the path with that. And Grisella especially embraced the whole concept and is very passionate about it. And we're very fortunate to have her as our wellness champion, which is something that I can't stress enough, that if somebody is going down that path, you really do need someone. It can't just be another administrative duty that you assign to somebody, or, you know, it has to be someone who has a passion for it and cares about it and really invests time. It is an investment of time. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it tees up, Grisella, really nicely for you, just to kind of tell us how you think differently about it going forward as that wellness champion and someone who's so incredibly passionate about it. How do you plan to go about supporting the mental well-being of folks from this point onwards?
Well, like I said earlier, we were getting a lot of information from different places. So we were doing a lot of different things for staff. We were doing challenges for health, the wellness emails. We were doing within the city of Orlando, we were doing challenges with them. So Unmind kind of put it together for us and kind of gave us that package where now we weren't doing it proactively. We were doing it proactively. We weren't labeling as being proactive. We were just maintaining, right? Maintaining everyone's health, whether it was mental, physical. Now with Unmind, it's a good package that we have, and we're going to continue to put forth Unmind to staff. But not only, here's the link, guys, log on and take advantage of it. It's more than just here's the link and here's an article. It's about unfolding it for them, showing them what Unmind can do, and not only what Unmind can do, but what addressing mental health in a proactive way can do for you today and tomorrow, not only for yourself, but for your family members. Because we're in such a crazy time, we need to address our mental health and what's going on with us today in order to better our tomorrow.
I love that. I think it's very easy when you think about technology or platforms just to kind of throw it out there, set it and forget it, but it never works. And that driving cultural change requires a champion and someone as passionate as yourself and the rest of the team to continue that rolling thunder of communication. I heard Nick talk about brushing teeth before, and the analogy I always use is I teach my 5-year-old and 2-year-old to brush their teeth, right? The 5-year-old's pretty good, the 2-year-old's terrible, but I don't give up because it's the right thing to do, right? To proactively work on your teeth. So eventually Jamie will learn and it'll become habitual. I think it's the same with mental health, and it becomes a part of everyday life.
Mhm.
You said some really kind words about Unmind, and we're incredibly proud of the partnership we have with the Magic. But we're very aware that we're part of a broader toolbox that you've created. So can you share for the audience a little bit more? And you mentioned a couple of challenges and things, but a little bit more about what that toolbox looks like, what that holistic approach is to ensure that you are covering all angles from a mental well-being perspective. And
we also have Headspace that we offer to staff. It's meditation, promoting meditation for staff. We have our wellness emails that go out on a weekly basis to staff, and that addresses any awareness for the month, any awareness issues going on, any topics from our healthcare carriers that we want to promote to staff to be active with their health, physical health. Like I said, we've done our strong challenge, which is a 6-week challenge, a virtual challenge for staff, which it entails their physical, mental, and nutrition well-being. What else have we done? We have our Unmind Champions team channel, which is helping our champions who happen to be our leadership, our managers, our supervisors, who are the first line of support for our staff. We have a channel for them, our teams channel, which we give them tools on a weekly basis on how to address topics when it comes to mental health, how to start that conversation with their staff.
Right.
I think that's something, I'm sorry, Matt. I think that's one of the most important things that we did is in the beginning, we identified our managers, as Grisella said, as our champions, because they are usually the first people who, they're engaging with their staff on a daily basis. And they're also the first people maybe to recognize that maybe something is off, or, so that they can try to use it, as an opening to kind of see what they can do to help, and then involve us to help. So we thought that them being champions, and we have had some leadership who have really stepped up and embraced it. I'll be honest, this is a journey. If anybody thinks we have it down and that it's perfect, it's not. I don't think our participation it's good. I don't think it's where we want it to be. Grisella, would you agree with that?
No, I agree, but it's progressing. I think people are jumping on, people are becoming aware.
Yeah, but it's a constant, it's something I think I was looking at some of the questions right before we started, and someone asked, how do you keep people engaged? And it's a daily, weekly, it's a constant thing in anything you do, whether it's Unmind or your other engagements, I think that's a challenge that we all probably share. Having someone like Grisella is extremely helpful, but even when we have someone who's as passionate and dedicated and spends as much time as Grisella does, it's still a regular, constant thing to keep it in front of people. Also, I think our partnership with Unmind and Hannah, our customer relationship manager from Unmind, that's critical. Like we have monthly meetings and we talk about, what did we do in the last month that worked? What didn't work so well? What do we want to try? It's trial and error. And recognizing those kinds of things. And so our partnership with with the customer relationship person, whoever you're working with, is very important as well. And we have a great team member in Hannah from Unmind.
It's very kind. I'm sure she'd love to hear that. So there was another question that came in from Leora, and it's, what is the criteria to becoming a wellbeing champion? Do they have to certify in something? Or is it by the nature of just being a manager that they're selected? And that kind of plays to who are the important key stakeholders? You've already mentioned leaders, you've mentioned champions, but what constitutes a champion? How do you create them?
Well, in all honesty, Grisella and Audra and I, we talked about this in the beginning. It was like, and we talked about a couple of different things in the very beginning. We thought about maybe identifying individuals that we thought might be, great at it because of other roles they've played. We talked about a bunch of different things, and we settled on, in all transparency, if you are a manager and have people who report to you, we wanted to start with that entire group as champions. Now, we did do a webinar solely for them that was ran by Unmind, to try to help them understand what does a champion do, what are to kind of help them and arm them. And then, like Grisella was talking about, she created a Unmind Champions Teams channel just for the champions, so that maybe they could share things about what they were doing. I'll give you an example. Chris Dorso is our Senior Vice President of Sales and Operations, and he's an amazing leader. He's been with the organization for 30 years, Grisella, I think. I mean, he started as an intern, as an intern with the organization. So everybody knows Chris. He's very charismatic, and he immediately embraced Unmind. And he does is it the Daily Boost, Grisella?
Daily
Help
Boost.
me.
Yeah.
In his staff meetings, he always starts with the Daily Boost. And he encourages his team, his directors and his managers. And so we have people like that who have really embraced it. And others, they haven't yet. We're hopeful that they will. But that's why we targeted those people, because they're in a leadership role for a reason. And so we feel like it was maybe an organic choice. And again, it was trial and error. So might we go in a different direction, in a few months, if we don't feel like that's engaging enough? But that's where we started.
I love that. I appreciate that. And I can't believe now it's 45 minutes in, we're drawing to an end, but I give you the opportunity to make any last comments. I took down a few notes in terms of the theme of what I've been hearing from you, but if there's anything else that you would want everyone to know about the journey that you're on, feel free to mention it now.
Grisella, I'll defer to you first.
This is a new thing. It's new in the proactive sense of dealing with mental health. I hope that it's not a phase. It's not something that will phase out. I hope that this is something that people take into effect now and use it in the future in any position they're in. Always be that wellness champion for your department and for your organization.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with Grisella. I really think for the Magic that this is not a fad. I think this is something that is going to become part of our culture and ingrained in our culture. And we just hope that it will continue to grow. And we still have a lot of work to do. I mean, we rolled it out. It's not even been a year. It's been July, I think, is when we started. So it's just been so we're very early in this journey. And I think one of the things that we still have to do is figure out how do we get, now that we're back to having a season and playing basketball and hockey and hiring people, we have a whole new audience that we need to figure out how do we introduce this to them. And it can't just be like Grisella said, oh, welcome to the Magic, here's a link to Unmind, try it out. We've got to do something really meaningful. And so we still have a long way to go on our journey.
Brenda, Grisella, I appreciate you spending some time with us, and we truly appreciate the partnership that we have with you. I think what's clear is your passion for what you do. And when I wrote down some keywords here in terms of driving large-scale cultural change, I think from a stakeholder perspective, it's your leadership, it's your leaders' leadership, and the champion network that you've created. Everybody is responsible for driving cultural change. There's an authenticity to it, that it has to be meaningful, that your CEO shares his experiences with his family and is open about it. Consistency, because it is a journey. So it is something that you need to consistently drive. And with your passion, it's clear that you and the team have that. So thank you so much. I can't believe how fast that's gone. Hopefully we addressed all the questions. There might be a couple that we will come back to you separately on, so apologies if we missed that. But have wonderful days. And I think I'm going to hand back to Steve now.